The Samsung Galaxy A56 here has the same cameras as its predecessor, the A55. No, seriously, I'm not kidding. It's the same exact camera. Which then begs the question, is it going to be any good when it comes to photos and videos? That is exactly what we're going to be checking out today, with lots of photos, lots of videos, both in the day, at night, to be able to answer the ultimate question. Is the Samsung Galaxy A56 camera any good? And most importantly, is it worth it for you? All of that and more, but first, hi, I'm Captain Awesome. This is Geekception, and I really appreciate if you hit that like button and subscribe, as it really helps me out here on the channel. There's also channel memberships if you want to support that way, as well as PayPal or Patreon. And this is the front camera test of the Galaxy A56, and yeah, I'm just here at night in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. There is rarely any light here on the roof that I am, except all of the lights from the city behind me here. So let me know what you think of the video quality here. This is UHD 30 frames per second on the Galaxy A56, and yeah, it's looking very blotchy and very noisy here in the camera itself. But let's see how it is when we go to back to the computer. But you let me know, you are watching on your phone there, let me know what you think of the front video quality here of the Galaxy A56. And starting with the specs here, the Galaxy A56 has 3 camera system on the back, which is exactly the same on the wide, the ultra wide, and the macro cameras here from its predecessor, the A55. And I'm not kidding, if you think that is bad, when we flip over to the front, the camera here has actually been downgraded from 32 megapixels to only just 12 megapixels here on the A56. And looking at the daylight photos taken here on the A56, and I would say that it has slightly better contrast than what I noticed from its predecessor last year, as well as I think just a little bit more overall exposure and how it handles it here. I also find the colors a lot more true to life here and much more accurate to what my eyes was actually seeing in real life when I was taking the shots. And another thing I like here is how it retains better light in the shadows, so I can see more detail. And overall, I would say the daylight photos here were great. You know, they are not spectacular like a ultra phone, for example, but for the price range, for this mid-range section, I would say the daylight photos were actually pretty okay. And this is the camera test of the new Galaxy A56 5G here, and I'm in the day. It's in the day right now. It's bright out in sunny Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and I'm just walking, and as you can see, what do you think of my walking stabilization? Now there's a 2x crop mode here, which I can press there, and you can see the 2x mode, and I noticed there is kind of a lag when I move the camera and when it actually moves and follows in that direction. As you can see there, and if I go into the 0.5x here, this is like the more ultra wide, and I'm not sure the quality is as great as the main camera, but I always imagine it should be more stable, or at least this is what I would use anytime I'm doing anything that requires me to, you know, walk or run or do anything like that. I usually switch to the ultra wide mode. But let me know what you think of the back camera test in the day as well. Okay, the next thing I always like to test here is lens consistency. So if I open the camera here and I go to, let's say, the 0.5x camera, and then I switch to the 1x camera here, there's usually like a change in the kind of color temperature. And when I looked at some of the photos taken with the A56 here, and I think on the 0.5x camera, which is the ultra wide camera here, there was definitely a tint there that is different from the main camera, and of course the 2x camera, which is just a crop of the main camera itself. And overall, I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker, not by any means, but it's just something that was interesting that I noticed, and something that if you are planning on taking multiple shots, especially at different focal lengths, for you to know as well. And this is the back camera test of the Galaxy A56 right here, and the first thing is, like, this is recording at UHD 30 frames per second. Sadly, no 60 frames per second here, and this is the KL skyline. And if I switch to the 0.5x camera, you can see it's not as bright as the main camera right there, and also from just the back of the camera here, it looks very noisy. And there's also a 2x mode here, which if I switch there, it definitely looks a lot brighter. I think this is just a crop of the main sensor if I am not mistaken, but if I'm wrong, I'll update there. I'm just panning, you know, all across the KL skyline there, and let me go back to the 1x camera right here. So you let me know what you think here. I'm just gonna pan to like a very dark part of my roof, maybe do some walking to see if there's like any jitters there. Sorry, I did not mean to turn this very fast, but yeah, go to the other part of the KL skyline. Sorry, my mouth is just not working, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more, and you can see how that cleans up. And what if I go into 0.5x, you'd see you lose a lot of light there. But yeah, let me know what you think of the back camera video test of the Galaxy A56 at night. Now moving on to software and features, and I think this is where the A56 really shines over its predecessor, because it has some Galaxy AI features, and I think the first and I think best one you're going to get here is best face. So if I go into the camera app here and I've taken a photo here, and you can see on my photo here I am actually closing my eyes, which I can fix here. So if I just tap on the edit icon here and I tap on this square here, I can tap on best face, and it's going to now, you know, use the Galaxy AI magic to look for the best face. And now there are several options here, which means that I can tap on one where my eyes is open, and boom, just like that, I now have my eyes open. I click done, and boom, I now have my eyes open here. So this is something that is not present on the A55 predecessor, and I don't even think it's going to come to it, but it's here on the A56, which is wonderful. And another feature you're going to be getting in software here on the A56 is the custom filters, which I think is just amazing. So if we are in the camera app right here and you tap on the dot, you scroll all the way and you tap on the filters here, you can actually now select from a bunch of different looks here in camera itself that is really detailed, I would say. And you know, here you can control, for example, the contrast of the image and how's that gonna look like, you know, the color temperature as well, how's that gonna look like. And I think one of the most important things here is you can actually use a photo to then create another filter. So if I go into the filters here and I just go into create a new filter and I select one photo from my gallery, let's say just this random photo, it will actually use Galaxy AI, as you can see on screen right now, to create a filter. And if I click done, you can actually see that filter here. And of course, you can still tweak the contrast and all of that, and you know, saturation and all of that. And I love it so much. Like, I'm not sure if this is going to come to the A55 via a software update with One UI 7, but this is what we have right now. One UI 7 is like, I think, a month away. So yeah, this is wonderful. And I think that's the general theme here of the A56, just like the S25 Ultra, which we've noticed when that came out, is that it's just, you know, due to One UI 7, it might be the same identical hardware, but because of, let's say, the new processor in this now and all of this One UI features you're going to be getting here, is that you are now getting way more, and I don't even think the A55 can compare here. And next, let's talk portrait mode. And I think this is one of my favorite modes to use because I like taking portraits. And here on the A56, you actually get something new, again, thanks to software on the A56, which is that there is a 2x mode now in portrait mode, as opposed to the A55 that came before it, where it's only 1x. And what I love here is that I was able to get shots that on the A55 sometimes I was not ever able to get, because you need to get really close for portrait mode on that phone. But here I can just use the 2x camera and get portrait mode, and I really loved it. And the cutout, the fall off was a whole lot better than I remember on the A55. And I would just say the portrait mode experience here on the A56 is miles ahead, in my opinion. And taking a look at night photos, and I use the default camera mode, even though there is a night mode here in the settings, I did not use that. I just used the default camera setting. I opened my camera, I took photos at night, and I was still impressed with the A56, just as I was with the A55. And I know that, you know, marketing and nightography and all of that, how Samsung markets their phones, but in my experience, I still could not really get a bad photo on the A56. I mean, when I go into the 2x mode, yes, I did notice it struggled a bit. There was some over sharpening and it was really holding on for dear life. But overall, I would say photography at night on the A56 is good enough. Like, it's good enough for almost 80 to 90% of the scenarios I can imagine that I'll ever need. And this is the front camera test of the Samsung Galaxy A56. And the first thing I noticed is just how accurate my skin tones are. Like, it's exactly how my skin is. And I'm just walking here in sunny Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and behind me is a little bit more controlled. But if I switch to this side where it's like super bright, you can see how it manages to expose both me and the sky as well. It's not blowing out the sky too much, which is great. If I go to this building in this background that is very bright, you can see it there. But yeah, so far I've been impressed just by looking at it here. I've not taken it to my computer or anything, but just looking at it on the screen here, and it actually looks like really nice. So but you let me know. I like just how natural my skin tone also looks here on the A56 compared to ooh, that's spicy. That's spicy. I'm in a restaurant right now, but yeah, let me know. Whoa, that is strong compared to the A55 here. But yeah, let me know what you think of the front camera video test here of the Galaxy A56. Now, looking at video on the A56 here, and of course you've been seeing several videos throughout this video, and I think even after this section as well. And if we're just going to the video mode here, of course you get up to UHD 30 frames per second here. You do not get 8K here on the A56, just like on the A55, and it's capped at 30 frames. You don't get that, you know, ultra fast 60 frames. If we go into the front camera as well, something that is nice here is you also get UHD 30 frames as well. I mean, it's a 12 megapixel camera, which is more than enough for 4K. So there's nothing special here. You don't get any pro video modes like on the S25 series, for example. So it's just your standard affair. And please, don't be shy. Let me know what you think of some of the videos you've seen from the A56 so far. Now, a feature that is often, you know, just discarded altogether, especially even by Samsung, it's hidden in the menus here, is the macro mode. And of course, the macro mode here with that third macro camera at the back of this phone here is often ignored. And for me, I've been doing a lot of macro photography lately, which is why I care suddenly, right? And I tried taking some macro photos with the A56, and immediately the first thing I noticed was that with the macro shots on this phone, I really couldn't get as close to the subject, for example, like I would like. And in photography, we call this minimum focusing distance, which is how close can a lens get to the subject while still being in focus. And sadly, the A56 here does really badly, which means that I cannot really get as close and get all of those amazing macro shots you see of like flies and spiders and all that. No, you're not going to be getting any of that here. And in fact, because the macro camera does not have optical image stabilization or OIS, you're also going to get a lot of blurry shots, because I did. So I would suggest, if you want to use the macro camera here, number one, it's not very high resolution, which means that you're not going to get a super high quality out of it. And number two, it's not very stable as well. So probably I suggest use a tripod or something. But, you know, share with me if you get some cool shots with this, because again, I've been into macro, and even if it's not from this phone and you take some macro photographies, please, my social media is down in the description. Please share some of them with me, or if you have tips, I would really love to find out, because yeah, macro photography is great, man. And of course, there's an ultra wide camera here on the A56, and just like the A55 before it, I think it handles distortion really well, which is around the edges. It's not very warpy and it looks very nice. I like some of the shots you can get from it, and even at night, surprisingly, it actually held up really nicely. I would say, you know, the shadows were not too noisy, and of course, you know, if you're looking at it on a monitor or on a big screen, yeah, it will not be as great. But I would say, you know, due to some of the algorithms here, I was not disappointed when I look at a photo I took with this phone with the ultra wide camera, whether in the day or at night. And I would say if you are going to be taking lots of ultra wide shots, you're going to be good. Now, coming to the most important part of this video, which is that, you know, is the Galaxy A56 camera here a noticeable upgrade over something like, say, the Galaxy A55? And I would say, well, not quite, right? So I'm already made a video about, this comparison with the A55. It should be published a day after probably when I publish this video. So go check that out to see all the in-depth detail. But I think one of the things I noticed with the A56 camera here is that the upgrades are more of a refinement as opposed to a massive upgrade. And I think this is very similar to what we got on the S25 series as well, right? Where I think Samsung is going with that software over hardware, and maybe they can get away with it for this generation of phone. So from the A55 to the A56, for example. But I would say if Samsung wants to retain this sort of mid-range category, and one will even argue their more premium S series lineup of phones, I think we need a bigger upgrade here, right? And in fact, maybe not a downgrade. So if you are on the A55, I've made a video for you. Go check that out. It will be in my comments there. But if you are just looking for a one-liner about what I have to say about this, it will be Galaxy AI, right? Samsung is putting a lot of eggs into that AI Galaxy basket, and some of it works really, really well, like the best face, which I demonstrated here. It's really great. Some others, like filters and all of that, I know I like it, but it's one thing, you said it, you forget it, you don't really touch it after that, so it might not be a really compelling reason to upgrade. And of course, the A55 might also get that update as well. So yeah, the camera here I would say is good. It's good enough, but maybe I'm not as excited because maybe I want a little bit more than good enough. But if you are looking for a camera that is good enough in this price range, in this mid-range section, then I think this is good enough. And yeah, now it's up to you. What do you think? What are your thoughts? What are some of the thoughts you have after seeing all the photos, all the videos from the A56 here? Please let me know in the comments down there below. I've been Captain of Awesome. This is Geekception. I really love, making these videos. This set, I think, took me like 2 hours and some change to build, just because I, wanted to make this super dynamic and super nice. So please let me know what you think of my video set as well. If you want to support me, I do all of this funded from my own pocket. So, we have memberships here. If you don't want to pay anything, you can just like and subscribe and share with your friends. That would be great as well. Or even Patreon, if that's what you like, or, PayPal, whatever it is. And most importantly, make sure you text me so I know you got home safe, and don't forget to stay awesome. Bye. And thanks for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I've really enjoyed making this video for you. And it's been quite exciting just making these comparisons again, because I've been super busy in, I think, January and February, and I just always want to make like videos like this especially. So yeah, more comparisons, more camera tests, and even more videos like this, which I'm excited about, will be coming soon. But how are you? How are you doing? How have you been? How is everything? Please let me know. It's always nice to get all the updates. Where are you watching from? Like what part of the world and everything. Right now, I think I am obsessed with Sakamoto Days, which I found on Netflix, but then I started reading the manga, so that has been great. And also I've been taking photos with my iPhone, which I'm using to record this right now, but I've been taking photos on my iPhone lately, which I've been enjoying that experience as well. But yeah, I look forward to all the comments, of course, in the comments. So I know you made it all the way here because you're awesome. Leave hashtag #endawesome, so I know that you made it all to the end and you are awesome. But yes, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Please take care of yourself, and bye bye.